go in there with like a sense of curiosity. Like, hey, help me understand this, right? Not, hey, I'm a builder, here's what I do.
We have been losing followers, which I love because it just narrows down who we want to target. You don't need 1 million followers. You can do very good shit with 500, 1,000, 10,000, maybe even 20,000 followers.
Hey guys, so welcome to episode 10 of Moments in Construction. We're excited to be back. Today we have the one and only Hugo Alves back on the podcast. Hugo, how are you doing?
Doing okay. It has been, right?
Yeah.
I felt like I was on episode 1 now by now.
Yeah.
I'm only going to do it in tenths, right? So I come every decade for life.
Yeah, no, for sure. So you'll be the 50 and then the 100. So we'll make it your signature visit. Matt, how are you doing?
Not bad. Pretty good.
What have you guys been up to lately? Well, Hugo, when's the last time you were here? February?
Yeah, February.
What's been going on? What are you working on lately?
I'm just staying busy.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of Halloween stuff.
yes. Tell us more about the Halloween.
Halloween, yeah. So we got an obsession going on in my house, led by me, 100%. And we're getting ready to ramp up. We start decorating. This year we're gonna start decorating in September because I want to be done by the beginning of October. Mm-hmm. It'll take about 3.5 weeks to set up. A little weird.
Yeah. Do you hire people to help you get set up, or it's a one-man show?
No, that's me, my wife, my kids, still in the hand.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope, and there's some possibility to insert pics of his previous artwork.
I gotta see, believe it or not, I'm like the worst when it comes to like taking pictures of video and things that I do. I'm just like, it's here.
Yeah. I remember you sent a picture of you and your wife. You guys went all out on costume.
Oh yeah. Yeah, like we enjoy dressing up. This year is gonna be.
How did that go about? Like, why?
So my wife's actually the one that really enjoys Halloween.
Yeah.
And when we were living in Newark, she was wanting to decorate the house, and they can't decorate the house in Newark. So mine's gonna steal all this stuff. Right? I mean, just granted. Plus, we didn't have any front yard or anything much like that. So when we moved, I was like, all right, now we'll do it. And she's like, all right. And it started with like 1 or 2 pieces, and then it just went to like 40, 50 pieces, and it keeps growing. But my wife's always been about it. She loves dressing up, doing her makeup, and just
So we got a sneak peek of what you guys are dressing up as?
So we don't know yet.
Okay.
We don't know yet. So it's...
I have a few pins saved on my Pinterest of costumes I want to do this year, but I didn't tell Matt I'm dressed up as him for the cactus thing that you look, the khakis for the tank top.
This is khakis?
These are like cargo khakis.
But is khaki a type, or is that a material they use?
Khaki's a color.
Yeah, khakis color. Oh, I just think that everybody just started calling the pants
Khakis. From the Allstate.
No. And then this is cargo.
But I think
Cargo's
you could buy different color. Are they called khakis now?
I don't know, actually. Now I'm questioning. But anywho, guys, so welcome back. Excited to see you here. Hugo, tell us about what projects we've been working on since you last were on site February.
Hold on. Let's recap what was actually happening in February. In February, we just started Pinehurst. Yeah, we just bought Simpler. Well, I don't think we bought it when we bought it after this podcast, like a week after, I think. Yeah, so we just bought Simpson Park. Palisades Park, we didn't even buy yet. So
it was right around the same time. But yeah, so we had Pinehursts. We were finishing up. We had just finished up all the ones from Q4 of last year, right? So Lingo, Westfield, and Montclair, Myrtle, and the original Pinehurst in 20. And then we were starting 238/240 Pinehurst. We acquired the 5 lots on Simpson Park for the development. Mm-hmm. We bought Palisades Park to build our first side-by-side duplex. We went through the approvals and got approval for the side-by-side duplex in Ridgefield Park. We made a record-breaking sale in Ridgefield Park, 47 Summit, which was exciting. What else? Buying a lot in Wayne, right? To build a nice house there in Wayne Hills. Well, that should turn out really nice. To be honest, I might should say about building.
Yeah, no, I understand what's happening.
They found a seller, right? Sell it to somebody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, somebody wants to come by a lot with the plans that we're proposing, or if they want to do their own plans, we're welcome. But ours not closing. Good.
Yes. Yeah.
Best we could, which How's that going? We're getting through engineering now, right? Yeah, we got it. So,
Yeah, and, everything's almost done on it. Honestly, I mean, it's pretty much almost ready to go. Whoever took it over, they got the plans that really wouldn't have to do much besides just see to the finish line some of the permit. So
Well, a few points you brought up that I wanted to touch on. Number one is the duplex. That's kind of new for us. So tell us a little bit more about that and why we're doing a duplex to begin with.
yeah, so I mean, it's definitely different for us. Completely different section of Jersey worlds, right? Really, we're going. I mean, when we're in Bergen County, we're in Palisades Park. It's got a specific buyer, a specific demographic, and a specific style, right? And to answer your question, duplexes, because that's the highest and best use for the land, right? That's what we see a lot there on 50 by 100 lots. We see the development of those side-by-side duplexes. We could build a single-family home, but the ROIs are going to be there, and we're not able to pay, what we were able to pay on that lot, if we were rolling into a single family.
yeah, Beto asked me that the other day. He's like, are we transitioning to duplexes? Because we seem to be getting more of those. But granted, he only saw Palisades Park at Hazelton. Oh, and then Newark technically was duplex-ish, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's like, probably try to do. I'm like, that's unfortunate. People want too much money for their homes, and their only way to squeeze value is this. Like,
That combined with the actual ordinance allowing us to do it, right? I mean, Hazelton is an anomaly.
yeah, but that's what's still nature. Naturally, that's where it's going to go, because you just can't afford to do anything else in these very wealthy counties. I mean, not wealthy, but Bergen County counties, right? People can't afford to pay $1 million plus for everything, right? That's the T-Next. I mean, certain parts of T-Next, the Pagodas, the Leonias, Richfield, Palisades Park. Like, you have to string like 4 or 5 different lots together in order to make anything substantial on the single family side. So that's why I'm pretty sure they put the ordinance in place to kind of compensate for the lack of housing, right? People don't want to move, or if they do want to move, they want too much money. So you have to squeeze more volume, more density into the lot. It's just duplex.
Yeah, and it was interesting because we took on 2 recent projects that will be duplex. The first is Palisades Park, which, as you mentioned, is pretty common and typical within Palisades Park. But we also took on Hazelton, which is in Ridgeville Park, a little less common. Tell us about the process there. Did we have to apply for a variance? And so what do we need to do? And how did that change things for us in the process?
Yeah, so I mean, it was originally the plan there was to try to build 2 single families, and then it changed to two families. And the town recently, made some changes in their ordinances to be, I guess, what I would call a little bit more prone development. There was a lot of ordinances in their town that just prevented you from doing just about anything. And I think the timing couldn't have been better, right? Because we walked into the engineer's office and they're like, actually, it's not even recorded yet, but we just changed this ordinance. We're like, okay. And the town's the one that made the recommendation, like, hey, we're not okay with two families, because there would have been two families on undersized lots, right? So now we're creating undersized lots, which are not pro. Understandably so, because they don't want to increase density even more. But they're like, we would be okay with the concept of, like side by side, like they do at Palisades Park was another example. And our medium to it, because we knew we were going to get a lot of pushback. I mean, the houses would stick out like a sore thumb if we did this very similar design that we're doing at Pal Park. So our design ultimately came out to look like a very large single family house that just happened to be a side by side duplex. I think the design is really nice. And I think that was some of the feedback that we got when we did go in front of the board, right? Because we did have to submit for the variance. So that took a little bit longer, right? Because you have to get all the professionals, you have to hire the attorney because we're purchasing under an LLC. We get our dates, we go in there, we pitch our idea, and for the most part, I mean, they were all about it. They actually mentioned 47 Summit, but I don't think they had any clue that it was the same company.
Right.
Which was nice to hear. But I think that they were all, especially the neighbors that were there, when you go for a variance, the neighbors within a 200 feet radius are given a letter or a notice so they can attend if they want. So I think we had a good amount of neighbors, right? I mean, even some people on the board were neighbors, right? So we had at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 neighbors there. And I think the one thing that they did appreciate is that it didn't look like this monstrosity that was going to stick out. It kind of kept the landscape of the area, but we were still going to achieve our ROI goals. You probably knew that.
Yes.
So that was cool.
You bring up an excellent line, which is a lot of people might not think about this. They see us as builders and we built these homes and these products, very client oriented. But there's a lot of stakeholders involved outside of that maybe, we have covered just yet in episodes. But one of our stakeholders is, of course, the towns that we work with. And whether it's, let's say, inspectors or town officials or going through a board and submitting the variance, applying for a variance, getting that approved, there's a whole process and extra layer behind the scenes before you even get to construction. And so whether it's Matt or Hugo, tell us a little bit more about the relationship that needs to be established with towns in terms of getting projects done, whether it's a new town or a town where we've regularly built in the past.
Well, I could talk about that. It's very important to test the waters, I think, to start before doing any type of development in towns, because you need to know what their comfort level is, right? Like 47 Summit and specifically in Goodfield Park was very, it was a test run because we're setting the market there. There's no doubt about it, right? There's nothing in terms of appraisal, there's nothing in terms of comps, there's nothing in terms of look, there's nothing in terms of anything in like a house like that. But when you go into a town willing to take the risk and betting on the town's appreciation or just the general area where a lot of people aren't because they're just strictly investors, like, okay, well, I'm only going to go if the numbers make sense. Well, if we did our analysis and we did the numbers, let's say, based off of what was there, we would never be developers, we'd just be in the market, right? So we did create the market there, and we are going to continue to create the market there because now the town's like, okay, well, if you're willing to take the risk and continue to build in the town, even the comps aren't there, at least we see that you're putting your best foot forward, right? So number one is you need to make sure that you start somewhere and test the waters. Like, okay, like, is this town easy to work with? Do they care a lot? How flexible are they? They're not only during the pre-approval process, but more so the construction process, because that kind of dictates who they are on the board level. Then secondarily, then you can start to really see if you're able to even acquire stuff there. Because yeah, you might have one project that you got very lucky on, but are you able to market? Are you able to bring in business and or give people what they're asking for? Because yeah, like, you could be pro-development all you want, but if your neighbors or your town or your people in the town are say, oh, I want $1 million for my house. Okay, well, no matter how pro-development the town is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make any sense, right? Nobody's going to go into a town and lose money, right? So it comes down to that. It really comes down to number one, testing the water. Number two, seeing if the market's there. Number three, then starting to pick and plot at what buttons you could push where. Like this project, Hazleton, required 2 or 3 or 4 variances, right? But we knew we were going to get them approved because the building is like, we're changing the landscape of the market there, right? And not only the market, but the street, right? Right now it's a mechanic shop, or what it was, so it's a mechanic shop. So we had a lot of things going for us, but now we can use that as our anchor, saying, hey, listen, if we have a house downtown or across town or whatever, you approved this here, this is very similar, why don't you approve it here? But in order, again, there's a fine line between development and financial feasibility, right? You need to make sure that you strike that balance saying, okay, well, the town needs to understand indirectly without me saying it that, okay, this needs to make sense for me to even do it or else I'm just gonna pull the plug, which they don't want. Nobody wants, because the town doesn't want you because they want you to develop, therefore they want to raise taxes. The seller doesn't want that, because they want to make sure that they're selling the property, especially if they're under contract, subject to approvals. And number three, we want to do the project, right? So it's in everyone's best interest to make it work. But obviously you can't go in and say, okay, I have a 50 by 100, I want to put a 6-unit building here. No, I can do that, right? But if you now start to syndicate properties together, it's a different situation, you know? So
Maybe in Europe we do 6-unit.
yeah, but Newark's not going.
I would say Newark's going Wild West. That's completely what that is. I mean, they're changing ordinances all the time, but I think it's to a certain extent it's coming up to a solid medium, right? Like you gotta, every relationship is exactly the same. Everything's a give and taking, right? So, especially when you're going up to the board, right? You know you're going to get a denial, right? Because you're going to, let's say you're going outside of the ordinance, the standard ordinance, or what the expectation is. Lessening the blow always helps. Meaning, right? Can you have a preliminary conversation with a township about what you're getting ready to propose and get like an instant feedback, even maybe a zoning analysis, right? Which are options in a lot of these towns. And that's when you'll be able to, without going in there and saying, hey, how pro-development are you guys, right? Because they're going to be like, what do you mean? You can ask for like a zoning review in a township, and based on the response and the engagement you actually get from the town, you'll get a good sense. So like, hey, are these guys for it, or are they just like strictly by the book? They don't care what you propose, they're going to deny it. I think that's number one, but it starts to build that relationship, right? Because now to the zoning official, you're just not wasting their time, right? Scheduling a meeting to go in front of the board, and they're looking at this like, we're going to deny this. Like, what's the point? Like, we can hear them out, we can waste an hour, hour and a half, and we're going to deny. Or you can have that pre-lit, right? Which is what we did at Richville Park, right? That's how we found out that the ordinances were updated, right? All these different things. And at the same time,
Our bill was a little different.
it was, right? And again, like the existing relationships do have impacts, right? In all these conversations. But let's just say you have no relationship in this town, right? You're going to go in, you're going to ask for this zoning analysis. And I think that when you go in there as a developer, especially if it's into a new town, go in there with like a sense of curiosity. Like, hey, help me understand this, right? Not, hey, I'm a builder, here's what I do. But they're going to be like, oh, you and like 50,000 other people.
It's a village too.
Yeah, you got to be humble, right? But ask, like, seek to understand. I'm telling you when you walk in there. And then at the end of the day, when you're presenting a plan, you know, hey, like, I'm going to get 75% of what I want out of here. Again, it's still got to make sense, right? There's still got to be a return out there because we're running a company. We're willing to give up 25%, right? By meaning, I'm going to draw back on some of these extra variances that they're really not going to make a huge deal. But by me giving them that leeway, it'll say, okay, well, this builder's willing to work with us, then let's be willing to work with them, right? Let's find something. And I don't really think, besides planting 2 trees, right, during that variance thing, besides them asking for us to plant 2 trees and open the apron up a little bit more for the entrance to the driveway, that's it. Oh, and take out the full bed downstairs, because Richville Park is very specific about that, and full bed space, because I don't want it to be a livable or place for somebody's sake. So outside of that, I mean, but those are very minor requests versus, you know, other towns where I'm sure they probably would shut down the whole concept. So
Yeah, it's like negotiating. You always go in shooting for the stars, and that's over.
but I just say, like, Matt is always like shooting for the stars and little kind of thing. And I'm all for it, but I think that sometimes, like, if they get a sense from you that you're trying to work with that, like you're scaling back what you could propose, I think that can say, you know, something to that without being said, right? They can say, okay, well, look, they're adjusting. It could have gone bigger. It didn't, right? Or even having those preliminary conversations with the zoning officer, presenting like the full ununder scope. They're like, you know, that'd be tough. And all of a sudden you scale it back. So now when he's on the panel, he's actually looking, he's like, oh, wait, they've actually scaled this back a little bit, you know, to try to, you know, resolve some of those variances that were coming up or minimize the variance. Where like one variance was, it was like a foot, right? Or a few inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, or 8 inches. It's like, depending on the situation, it can make a ginormous difference. But when you're building a home that's 32 feet tall and 40 feet deep, you know, 8 inches is very small. And I don't really think they gave us much pushback. They're like, well, it's fine. Not even a big deal. We're not even considered that variance. So we're like, oh, great, thanks. I appreciate it. We can scale it back and suck, but they're working with us because we're working with them. And then I think just the design of it, right, was just, it looked like a larger single family, right, that would fit right into the streetscape. Like, you weren't changing a ton. So, and even the people that didn't like the idea of us getting a variance, I don't think any of them brought to light at the meeting like any huge detriment that we were proposing to the area way. And to Matt's point, right, like we're changing a mechanic shop into a residential, which that's bold. conversation, right? I would gas things at all.
Yeah, that is a different. That's what the cool thing about the projects that we take on is each one has its own quirks and personality, if you will.
We try to make sure that you're never.
Yes, always keeping me on my toes, and I appreciate that.
Well, let's give this one to Eric.
That's the point.
She's like, why is there a gas tank here?
Yeah, it's the point of being developers,
Yes. No, I think
Make it work.
the most challenging part for sure can be the red tape and the bureaucracy. And the variance plan, you're here summarizing it for us. However, that took at least 2 to 3 months to
At least.
prepare for, get on the board on their agenda, and then once they did approve it, we had to come back for another time, and then they could review it and pass a resolution. So it was an entire process, entire order that it really took. But it's interesting when you bring up a point about humility and building rapport and relationships. We recently had Alberto and Vincent on the podcast talking about, just that. How do you develop rapport with contractors? And so a lot of this, to summarize, is just simply relationship building, whether it's with the client, whether it's with the town, whether it's with the subcontractors. So
Sellers, buyers. It's like I said, it's
commonality.
combat is relationship, build the relationship.
Yes, and so one key point I want to touch on that you brought up is just this going into the towns with a sense of humility. Yes, you're developers and you want to enhance and of course make a profit off of the bills, but what are the impacts to the town and the community and the people around them? So you mentioned this at the board hearing. There were a few neighbors that stopped by. What are some of the common concerns that maybe people within the area might have about a builder coming in, and how do we keep that in mind throughout our builds?
You're going to raise my taxes.
They never really complain about it. Believe it or not, the most common objection or question that we get at our meetings, whether it's Scotch Plains, Richfield Park, is water runoff. It's always water runoff.
This is true, yes.
How are they going to prevent my yard? Because I think it's
Yeah, but new construction that never has a problem.
yeah, but I don't think it's from, and I'm not trying to say this in a way where I'm trying to make it seem like people are misinformed, but I think you only understand or know what you read or hear, right? And the most common thing when you look at developments or homes being developed is typically somebody complaining about, oh, the builder did this or the grading did this, and now my basement gets flooded. That's the most common thing. Like if you actually search for it, that's the most common thing that's spoken about. And it's just funny how it comes into our variance meetings all the time. It's always the water. Morse, water. That was the main thing, right? I think 2 or 3 people spoke about it. It's like, all your homes were built on a pond like 50 years ago. Literally, right? Like more. Hillcrest.
Hundreds of years.
Whatever, the water's still there, right? They didn't go anywhere. We just squished it. But that whole section of town was built on a pond. And they're saying, hey, how did my house from Morse? Right? It's the Crestwood section. The Crestwood section is Robert Longfellow. I mean, when we dug so deep, it was just like you could see the streams running in through the side, right? And then we had to adjust the building to make sure that nothing crazy was going to happen. But it's always funny that they always bring up water and, hey, you live in a pond. But yeah, I mean, listen to Matt's point. Yeah, like the way the water runoff designs. I mean, the engineers, are pretty detailed in their requests. Well, I mean, my engineers, town's engineers, because our engineers will draw something up. But they'll always typically add something extra on top of it. That's usually the engineer review is probably the most likeliest response in a variance request, because they get very detailed and ask for very specific things. And it's typically to avoid water running off into the neighbors. Like the, what was that thing that we had to do in Westfield? What was that called? Swale. Like, what is a swale? We do that. And they're like, hey, it's a little happening here on the side. Okay.
It's a good divot. We call it a divot. Where the water just diverts somewhere else.
That's because how a grading was designed, and now they want that there to avoid.
Was that the town or the soil conservation district?
That was the town, the engineer.
Which I'm thinking the action of the town was swell now. But where would you go?
Yeah, he does. So I knew it the minute. Yeah. So now we're getting warranty requests to come address, the standing water
But we did it to blank.
Yeah, we did it exactly how the plank called for it, and now he has standing water. And it's like, okay, well, we're gonna fix it, but
That's a whole other fucking special. It's like the difference between the engineer and like you're a builder. The engineer just sits on the fucking CAD file. Like he does not understand that this is not gonna work. And that's why I tried to explain to town engineer. I'm like, or I tried to explain to our engineers, like, this is, yes, on paper, this looks good, but this is not going to work. The water's not going to go that way. The way we angled it, and we always try to make our pitches very gradual, unless it needs to be drastic. I said, like, this is not going to work, but again, the town, we were at the, what's the part for it? We were against the rock and a hard place. Like, we needed to just get the CO to sell. So at that point, put the fucking fill, just do it, whatever you want. But now, again, we're getting more intense.
I feel like they operate very much of the in theory state of mind. Like, in theory, this is going to do this. In theory, okay, in theory, but in reality, it didn't work. But again, the point is to avoid the water going to the neighbor, which it's doing its job clearly, but now it's full of water. Why? Because the grade, per the engineer, is high in the center and then runs off to the side. And they told us to put a swale here. Well, if the water from here is going here and now it's butting up against the little mountain here, where's the water?
The quietest they were, but
It should have been, but whatever. It didn't just, but listen, we do as we're told sometimes, most of the time, because we don't really have a choice, but sometimes, things just don't make logical sense. They're in theory, they make sense, but just.
Yes. And also, so to your point, in terms of connecting the theory versus the practice, right? And sometimes there's a disconnect between, in theory, you should be doing this, and this is what is by book what you should do, versus in practice, this might not work. And so I think another thing to be mindful of is, in order to bridge the gap there, that's why it's so important for the towns to have those town inspections that they have, whether it's the building inspection, the plumbing inspection, the mechanical or the fire, whatever it is. It's not like you're just willy-nilly going and building the whole thing and not getting checked in on. Yeah. The town is constantly coming and ensuring that things are to code. And so, again, not that we're here trying to build something that won't stand, but we build our homes to last for generations and generations to come, of course. But then,
I built that we survived earthquakes.
yes, earthquakes.
Matt was ready for the house to happen.
Oh, you were right in front of your house?
No, he was in front of Pinehurst when the earthquake happened.
Oh, shit, I didn't know that. Okay.
Was it that big though?
It was.
Can you say it was quick certified? Can you? I don't think so. I don't know about this.
I think Eric was like at a coffee shop.
So side note. So we were, when the whole earthquake thing happened, we were on a call together. And these guys, we're in the middle of an earthquake, they're all cracking up. And I'm here so concerned. I ran downstairs. I was like, to my mom, are you okay?
I thought it was farted pretty heavy. I'm like, damn, you're so ready.
And it was.
Hold on, Eric. Let's not tell the story right away. We were on a call. I was at a client's house. I was on Cushing. And I just pulled up to Cushing because I was meeting Beto. Matt was on Pinehurst. All of a sudden, my car started shaking like crazy. And I'm thinking my son was with me. That was the day that was bringing his son to work day or whatever it was. I can't remember why I had him. And I thought he was jumping in the back seat because my car was just shaking. And then I realized when I looked to the right, I saw the house, the garage doors just waving. And I'm like, oh no, we're in an earthquake. Matt's like, well, Pinehurst is built solid, couldn't go nowhere. Erica's response, guys, is that an earthquake? Immediate panic mode.
My fight or flight did turn on in that moment. I don't know how you guys are so nonchalant about all this.
I mean, so you were inside somewhere and we were outside. So it was kind of like, maybe
true.
That was it. Like for us, it was like, what's well, let me not say what's possibly going to fall on us because it could have been a huge tree, but But yeah, I mean, listen, to your point, it's the mixture of having those relationships, like you were saying about Beto and Vincent, right? And that's what I used to tell everybody, like when they came into construction, because construction, especially when you're coming in and you didn't start with the company from the beginning, a lot of these contractors are like, we've been here since the beginning, who are you, kind of thing, right? Like they take that same approach. And it's like, you got to come in humble, like teach me so I can better understand why you're doing it this way. and not the way that I thought it was supposed to be done. And then brainstorm, and maybe if you come in and say, hey, I need you to do it like this, I'd be like, I've been doing this for 30 years. You started 6 days ago. You want it, right? Like it's that concept. And then furthermore, like even when we're talking to the engineers about the swales and things like that, the things that in our mind doesn't make sense from a practical standpoint, if you have a relationship, right? It's a lot easier for me to walk in and say, Matt's the zoning officer. You can walk in there and have like a friendly comment. Matt, you know this makes no sense. But if he's never met me a day, I can't say that to him. He's gonna be like, who's got the degree in engineering? Or you, right? Like, so again, it goes that step further. It's a different conversation. You walk in Scotch Plains, we could go in there and be like, Bob, you got 2 minutes. And then he'll just bring you in the office and they're gonna be like, this is this. And you can speak to him freely and he'll be open like, oh, well, you know, here's why, yeah, we've spoken about that. But you can even go as far as like, I think the people who create the building code and the architects and the installation companies are all having a huge debate right now, right? Because you ask us to build a 2x6 exterior wall, but you ask us to install insulation that's 8 inches thick. Well, it does, right? Like you're trying, again, in theory versus practical, it's that kind of same thing, where like we can't say anything because we're the builders. What are they going to say to us? They're going to be like, oh, you guys just want to save money in insulation. No, it doesn't fit. Like it's 6 inches versus 8 inches, right? The resolution is spray foam, right? Or an exterior insulation panel, which is the less of the options from a money perspective. For somebody actually,
It depends on how much.
yeah. Well, I mean, assuming like it's a car
Yes, size also matters of the home and how many windows you have. There's a lot of variables that go into energy.
Yeah, but when you compare it to spray foam, I mean, because it's not commonly used yet, it becomes a huge expense to homeowners. I mean, huge. So it's like, okay, well now we're fighting building code, not agreeing with architecturals and the installation company, therefore who pays for it? Us, the company, or the homeowner does, because, you know, these things that in theory make sense, you want the homes to be more tight, right? Higher energy efficiency. Well, then request 2x8, you know, built, so I don't know.
We all have this eventually.
Yeah, probably. Or they'll just adjust the installation. Erica's like, I have no idea.
Also, look, I mean, it'll probably be really expensive to change the exterior walls to 2x8s. Because you could always go up. You just can't go down.
Yeah, but spend 2x8s
on the other exterior wall. What are you talking about, like 700 2x8s? I have no idea. I don't know.
and have a book. Listen, you can go out to Pennsylvania and build 1x2s and 2x4s of the exterior walls and no building plans, no inspections.
That's scary, actually.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just like, now I look at, like, if I stay on Airbnb out there, like if we want to get away, I'm like, what was this bill recently not but right now, live home, please.
Especially when going with kids, you know, they're running up and down.
That jumping.
It's not safe. But yeah, no, one of the reasons that I've been shadowing construction, and that's been one of my personal goals, is, number one, just for personal learning and growth. I work at a construction company, therefore I should know at least some of the basics, right? But then number two, it's given me a whole different level of appreciation for construction and again, the theory versus the practice. And I shadow out Vic, but when I see him on site, it's a whole different monster. It's just organizing chaos, and there's contractors here, there's things getting delivered here. One of the most memorable things so far has been, well, there's been a few, but one of them was, I think there was a siding delivery and deck material had just arrived. There were a few things getting delivered at once, and meanwhile there were vans all up in places. There's a whole bunch of contractors, and you're working with limited space. Beth stepped in and legit, the orchestrators and for big music and music shows and orchestras, he came in, he stood on the sets and was like, this goes there, you come here, and you put that there. And it was just magical to watch, really. But at the same time, and it's kind of, this is what construction is doing on a daily basis. Whereas for me, for instance, I'm at my computer trying to say, oh, we need to make sure we pass this inspection. It's not that simple, period. But anyway.
He was like, Erika, we don't care about this inspection right now.
Right, I'm thinking 5 steps ahead. Okay, we need to work on CL. Meanwhile, Beth's just trying to execute on the day and make sure that things get done. And tiles on that day or flooring, whatever it is getting
The
dissolved.
toughest part, besides herding cats, as I like to call it, is there's so many outside variables in the construction world that can impact your day, your week, right, your month. That's, I think that, again, herding cats is tough enough, right? And being a professional babysitter, and making sure everything is done to the things that you can impact. But when you have external factors like the vendors, like weather, like things like that, it's just another added layer of so sometimes Matt's like, oh, I should call Beto. I'm not calling Beto. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, I can only imagine where he is right now. If I can't call him at like 5 after he's done, he's on his way home, then I'll call him. But I'm not calling him in the middle of the day because it's just like chaos. I'm not going to get his full attention. I shouldn't expect it because of what he's doing. Even sometimes on calls, like Beto's like in and out. And it's like,
Yeah. So it's his birthday, by the way. Happy birthday, Beto. But okay, so
32 years old.
It's actually my mom's birthday too.
it's your
Is your
mom's
mom
birthday
birthday too?
too?
Yeah.
What are we in Leo season?
Yeah.
Officially
That's
Leo
it.
season. Okay.
Big
I can see
Netflix.
that.
What'd you get, Mom?
She did bullet.
Is she? Where you at?
I bought her flex.
What wife?
No. No, I want it to be one. I tell you, you can sell your freaking house, you can invest that money, and you can live like king over there.
That's what I'm trying to tell mom the same thing. I'm
Like
like,
you should live like
my mom thinks she's work till she dies. I said, yourself. So,
Your mom is a savage. So don't play that.
Yeah, she's a little-
She's like nonstop.
she's a little chihuahua.
I know that.
She's your old dog.
Like me. Bulldogs are a little better.
Yeah.
It's a shop. Yeah, I'm trying to get her to understand the same concept. That's why I've been dragging my feet on it, but that's why I want to rebuild Newark. I don't want to build in Newark. I don't want to do anything in Newark, but I want to do it so she can have a home that she can rent out and then go to Portugal, to Brazil, wherever they intend to go, and they just live. Like, she thinks she's gonna work for the rest of her life, and most of the time she's more concerned about the girls that work for her and the fact that if she stops working, they won't have work. And I'm like, at a certain point, after doing this for 30
That's a true
something
leader,
years,
is it?
Yeah, she's built her business ground up, and so it's hard to let
but
go
she
of
hasn't
it.
she hasn't built it in a position where somebody can take it over.
Right.
It's either she's here or it's dead. Right. That's pretty much it. Right. Like, it's not. So I've had a couple conversations with her. My wife's had a couple conversations with her. So maybe we'll figure something out. But she needs to stop working. Every day, like, she can't hear. She hasn't been able to hear for almost a year on her left side. And I always joke about it with her, like when we're out and talking to her, and I'm thinking she's hearing me. My wife's like, she can't hear you.
Ask for permission on the side.
Yeah, and I like turn my head. I'm like, Mom, she did what? Now I'm like, oh my God, she really is doing that.
It's a stress.
But she doesn't take care of herself. She's like nonstop all the time.
Yeah, that's.
And then Matt will throw a couple of Sunday cleans in there,
Yeah.
for a whole thing. She's like, oh, this Sunday I'm not doing anything.
It's an active rest day.
Oh yeah.
No,
She always tells me, like, I can't. You want me Sunday? I'm like,
Yeah, she's always been very hardworking. My mom worked 3 jobs as a entrepreneur because my dad went to work because he got sick. But she needs to spot that time for it to bring around.
oh yeah.
I would do the same thing. So mom said, sell the house, or we rebuild the house, you use that rental money and you go live.
Lit. Period.
I went to Portugal. This was like 8 years ago.
It's expensive now. It's very expensive.
Nah, see, depends on where you go. See, like, I'm not going in the touristic areas. I'm going like home.
You really go to
Yeah, we have
Really go scouts and they were they scaling mountain and shit.
we have
What are yodel? Oh, that's
would
the
be
wrong
cool.
part.
but I think that's the wrong country.
Yeah, I think that's Switzerland or Sweden.
But yeah, no, I mean, there's corn land out there. They grow most of their stuff, but we were out there 8 years ago, and they're already on the highways and things like that. That was completely different for me because it used to take about 4.5 hours to get to my house from Lisbon.
Yeah, there's probably one way this way, one way that way, right?
Yeah, it was like a dirt road. Like, and then you're driving on the side of the mountains, no guardrail, 2-way. Right.
I was just one way or one way.
No, I
One lane one way, one the other one other way.
No. It's the same lane, and if you just happen to come up by somebody, you got to squeeze across each other. Right? So that was back in the day. Now there's highways. My grandmother was like, "Yeah, you take the outdoor sonata A1." And I'm like, "What?"
Okay.
So I had to go buy a GPS and then download a page of the maps for Portugal because not a chance.
Does Google Maps do that? Are you? Yeah, right. You can
Google
Maps
Maps,
probably do it international.
Yeah. But we went there, and I remember I went there. We were going for 2 weeks. I took like $3,000. That's what I took with me. I was like, right, let me just take this, have more than enough spending money. I'll leave some money behind if I can, for my aunt, for her hospitality, because she didn't. We had somewhere to stay. Right, we could have stayed in my other grandmother's house, but she was in the hospital during that time, so I don't want to stay at her house and not be there. So we stayed at my aunt's house on my mother's area. My mother's area, because my dad's a beach boy. My mom's the bar girl. And the day we were leaving, I had $2,500. So that's after taking them out to going out to the city and having lunch, all 10 of those. That was 80 euros. I was like, nothing. I was like, that's like 800 easy in the US right there. It was 80 euros. Like, it was nothing. So it's like, it's different. The food's better. They grow most of their stuff, right? They're buying their stuff to the market and not like these major supermarkets. Like, they don't have, maybe they have a Wawa or Lidl, but they don't have like non-rights.
Probably legal now.
They don't have all the big companies. You want to go, like we went to, I'll never forget, we went to what I'm considered a corner store, right? It's just us. It's like,
To bodega.
it's a bodega, right? And it has like a butcher shop inside of it. It's got everything there, right? And then my aunt's at the counter and she's like, yeah, put it on my tab. I'll be back at the end of the week. I was like, tab? You guys do that here? Yeah, if you try to walk out of the U.S. and say, put it on my tab, good luck, because you'll probably make it halfway through that door. And I went there to try to pay for it before I left. Because I was like, she let us stay in her house, we ate her food, watched her TV, used her electricity, like everything. And I went up to the guy and I went to go pay, and he was like, absolutely not. That is disrespectful. I'm like, share. It's not your money, dude. What are we talking about here? But that's just how they live over it. It's just different. So she can go over there with, considering everything that they have over there, $1,000. Because most of us doesn't spend a ton of money. Like $1,000 a month, she would live more than her.
Are you sure? I think China's changed.
No, bro, because you're going to like Lisbon. You're going to you're going to like these fancy areas. Like, we also don't have central air and central heat. You want heat, right? You buy the wood burning stove. That's actually, we just bought one for my grandfather because they're old and they can't walk. And we bought them a new wood burning fireplace. I mean, this thing was ginormous.
Probably heavy sell too.
Yep, and I'm like, oh my god, how much is this thing gonna cost?
Yeah, well, I know
$1,000.
I know someone on our team is going to be going soon, so we're going to have time to report back on.
They're
crazy.
He's going Brent's. Oh, your Brent's going.
I know which one. Yeah,
Where does he go? Where does he live?
I actually don't know. I should ask.
He's from Algarve.
Well, he's
going to
Algarve. No, he's
No, Algarve's down south. It's like our Miami Beach.
no. He's a very.
Açores? Is he Açores? Can we call him or mess with the audio?
The spot.
Well, in the meantime, I'll need to give a call. I'm sure it's Brandon. I'll probably pick up ASAP. But Matt, you did a community reading recently at a middle school summer program. Tell us about it.
It's cool.
That pictures.
Helping kids.
What'd you do? Why'd you do it?
Honestly, you said that. I'd shut up.
Because they told me to.
Yeah, because they told me to. No, I'm kidding. But no, look, I just.
You look like you had fun in the pictures from good.
Yeah, whatever. I was being a kid, I guess. Whatever you call it. Kind of a different side of me.
Have you ever been to Disney?
Well,
I don't mean to be off track, but he just said being a kid. Have you ever been to Disney?
you ever been? I don't like roller coasters, yo.
You need to go as an adult. So we went.
They have Disney after dark.
My daughter was. That's not me.
No, they do. That's
No, so we took our daughter when she was 5, 17 then. So I was like early 20s, early 30s. Yeah, I'm talking about patience. I get why adults like going there. You walk in and you immediately feel like a kid. So that should remind me that you should go. But
I just don't like roller coasters.
there's no roller coaster there. It's Disney, not Universal. I mean, I'm sure there's some roller coaster, but This is more like walking around where you see the castle, you see all the characters. It's a lot.
Because
It's the environment. Even people are like, they're like super happy.
Yeah. We can do some marketing there. Just take the whole crew, fly the whole crew to Disney.
Just going with the team.
Speaking of marketing, what are some of the new marketing content that you've been doing lately? What are you guys doing over at
I'm excited about it. I think we have a better layout in terms of, we're pre-projecting what we're going to be doing way ahead of time, right? So months from now, we know, which I think gives us more time to kind of digest and figure out exactly what we want to do versus it being from like one day to the next. It makes it a little bit harder sometimes.
there's a lot of talking heads too, though. Like, it's just more like, it's more call to action based. Like, granted, like, we have been losing followers, which I love because it just narrows down who we want to target. Like, I always say this, but not always, but just recently, like, social media in the past was like follower based. You have 1 million followers, you convert that to conversion rate. Over time, you're just going to get more people to see your stuff. Now, in today's social environment, because the algorithm is so crazy accurate, you don't need 1 million followers. You can do very good shit with 500, 1,000, 10,000, maybe even 20,000 followers. Because it's better to have 1,000 followers where 100 people buy your shit than having 1 million followers where 1,000 people buy your stuff, right? So you want really targeted stuff. So the content we're making now is like it talks a little bit about us, it talks about our service, it talks about the home, it talks about our process, it talks about the team, whatever, right? So it's very like, look at the thing, you have a clear point you're talking about, and maybe there's a call to action at the end of it, maybe. Sometimes there isn't, right? So the goal, it's exciting, right? Because it's an actual piece of content. It's not just a whole. Now, granted, everybody likes to see the before and afters. Everyone likes to see the pictures of the finished home, whatever. But how many can you do? Unless you're told whether there's 100 homes, you won't have enough content to post every day. Or unless you post like one picture this day, and then a kitchen picture that day, and then another picture. You're just going to be, you're posting the same house 100 times, which it becomes a little redundant. Now, granted, content with talking heads or whatever you want to call that kind of content also becomes a little redundant, but depending on your hook or your call to action, you could typically recycle the same point, just said differently, right? And the thing is, like, most people's attention span to cell phone and social media nowadays, it's like a fucking squirrel, right? So most people won't even remember that there was a content like that in the past. So as long as you do a good job spacing it out, it's very easy. It's crazy to even think about. Like, again, I'm very not subliminal, but I like to go into like the deep thinking about that. Like, the shift in social media is only a cause of human error or human adaptation. In the beginning, when social media was new, it was, oh, this is cool, like the internet. Like, Google just came out, great. Now it's like everything is completely different because it's all marketing and sales. Businesses like Instagram, like Facebook need to make money, therefore they're going to do whatever caters to the human aspect, right? That's why short form content is like king now, or YouTube shorts are king, right? Because people have such a short attention span, which I'm ADHD, I don't know, but I tend to move to one thing to another very fast. But that's again, like, because there's so much going on that you need to adapt your marketing.
YouTube shorts or any short content do they feel like they can digest
quick
in an obscene amount of information in a very short period of time, because you could go through.
It's a dopamine hit. Yeah, it's like, oh,
it's just the highlight of that, right? Because the whole goal of shorts, right, is to tie your long form into it, right? To say, continue watching, but you already hit the dopamine, you already get the high, right? So if you can watch a bunch of highs, right, why wouldn't you?
And that's what numbs your brain down. It's like that. It's like there's no commitment to it, right? Which, it translates to the sociology, whatever, macroeconomics, socioeconomic environment, right? Like, based on what human people do, that's what you need to cater to, right? I don't know. But our marketing is very more, to Hugo's point, or to your question, our marketing is very purposeful or meaningful, strategic. It's like strategic. It's like,
yes,
we have a purpose behind it. It's not just crap posted, which
So you and David have spent a lot of time in plotting out and being more intentional and had the strategy. How has it been for you, Hugo, on the front end, the prompt facing now?
More simplistic, more purposeful, right? Because again, like I don't have an obscene amount of time, but I want to do it. So it's like sometimes, my calendar gets blocked for like 2 or 3 hours, but like me and Mike and the rest of the team, like we already know when I get there, like what are the shots?
yeah,
Let's
boom,
go.
boom, 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 go.
Super efficient.
Right? Like for me, it's like if I don't have to use the 2 hours, I'm not going to use the 2 hours. Like I want to go, right? Because I have other stuff that I'm trying to fit into the day.
Which just that what we actually allocated 4 hours in the very beginning. Like Mike said, we'll give you 4 hours. Like we don't even, bro, we're fucking.
I'll never forget who was it Dave? Blocked my calendar for 4 hours.
Yeah.
Say you better unblock my calendar. Do not block my. That's like almost half the day. I'm like, dude. Like,
So then you got down to 2, and now he was even saying we can even get it down to like 1.
well. So again, so when I get there, right? Because most of mine are like quantity wise, I have the little shots, right, or the most things to say. But like if Brandon's there, or Jolly Glory, right? Like Jolly Glory was in 1 video, Brandon was in 2. I have 3 or 4 or something like that. So I bang mine out as quickly as humanly. Actually, we backed out. We did Jolly Glory's first. Because I don't want him to sit there through 7 videos, right? Do his thing, enjoy the rest of your day, right? Like, go ahead. Then we did mine and Brandon's, and I did mine because Brandon and I were just feeding off of each other, so it worked. But if it was just like a day where it's me, or like me and like just Jolly Glory, I'll do Jolly Glory just so you can go. But if Jolly Glory's not there, my goal is by the time Jolly Glory pulls up, I'm done. I'm done with all 3. Because I look at the list of everything I'm speaking about, and I kind of just like already like, all right, I know what I'm going to say. In the past, because it wasn't as pre-programmed or strategic in terms of having everything laid out, it was more of like I get there, I have to understand the concept, I have to now think of what I'm going to say, I have to reword it a couple of times, then I have to remember what I was going to say, and then to say it, right? That it just takes so much longer. And I feel like it doesn't come out as well just because
you're trying to.
Yeah, the anxiety. Well, I'm actually so. I think the anxiety starts to kick in. Like, wait, no, wait, I didn't say that. No.
Yeah.
So, and plus, Mike's got a great team behind him, and he does a great job, and he's doing some kick-ass edits. Some of the stuff I really do.
Even on the beach day one, like I haven't seen him take that much content.
Yeah,
but he showed a lot of.
And Ninja.
Yeah.
And just he pushes out content super quickly too, which is
Yeah, that he does.
wow.
Fire Saturday.
Yes,
It depends on what it is too. If it's just simpler, then it's
Mate,
made.
they're mad he got muffins up.
Listen, like we said in the beginning, the camera can only do so much for you,
Yeah, at a certain place you got to take it.
Wait a minute. I'm in the gym like every day.
All right.
I'm taking a break.
Well, with that, don't forget to get your lifts in today, folks.
Yes. I need to.
All right, we have an episode. Thank you all for joining to episode 10. Again, Hugo, thanks for joining. It's all
Of course.
when you're on the set. Can't wait till the 20th episode when you're back.
Yep.
And until next time, don't forget to like our page, follow, subscribe, share the videos. It goes a long way. Thank you again.
You just have to click it again.
And
Scene.